First Radio.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to Word First Radio, the podcast brought to you by Word First Ministries. I am your host, Jacob O'Neill, and as always, I'm joined by my friend Cameron.
Hey.
And today, we are joined by our friend, Ann Kristin.
Hey guys.
I feel like I should put some applause.
Yeah, we need to put the applause thing. I was going to do it
Okay.
myself, but I was like, no, we can do an effect there. Ann Kristin, welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm
Yeah.
so thankful for being here.
Yeah, we're so thankful to have you. So Ann Kristin, I'll just tell you, she's actually been one of our Norwegian friends. How long have we known you? Like a year or something like that?
I would
let's get
say
that.
that.
It was
like
Skepsisuka, so that was
3 months or something.
It's all the same.
Yeah, it's a year.
Time is a social construct.
It's back in 2023. I
That's
mean,
right.
you know, we've known you since then. And you've been hanging out with us just a little bit. We know you from Laga. And you've been hanging out at our family breakfast. And we wanted to have you come on for this episode. But before I introduce you, how about you introduce you? Go ahead and just tell people back at California a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Jacob. Well, my name is Ann Kristin Kristensen, and I'm original from Konsmo. It's a really small town in south of Norway.
I was going to say, I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, I would believe so. But it's not that far from Kristiansand. So this year I am living in Oslo, and I am working in Lage with something that we call Grill a Christian. Would you say barbecue a Christian in
we'd say
English?
grill a
Or
Christian.
We'd say
yeah, you
grill a
would say
Christian.
grill. Yeah, I'm not.
We use the same term when when you're asking someone hard questions. You say you're grilling them.
Okay,
So, yeah,
you
same
do.
thing. Yeah,
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay, Grill a Christian.
Yeah, yeah.
So I go to high schools, or what's similar to high schools, and get asked questions from the students there, and try to answer them as good as possible.
Yes.
I'm only human, so doing my best.
How
Yeah.
long do those last? Are those like a half an hour or an hour long?
Yeah, half
Okay.
an hour, but we usually has like a little pause in the middle, so they
Sure.
don't get just all the information at one time.
Okay, I only ask because I've been grilled by high school students before, and I know that the questions they ask aren't super easy. I'm sure they can be predictable, but I know that it usually takes a while to unpack them. So God bless you for your efforts
Yes.
to answer those questions. Thank you so much, Ann Kristin. So the reason we had you on is because you're just so awesome, and so
Thank you.
there's a book going around. It's called Store Spørsmål, Korte Svar, which stands for Big Questions, Short Answers. And this is a book that's been on the shelves of Oslo, or in all of Norway, actually, by the new Bishop of Oslo named Kari Veiteberg. And this book, I mean, we have some interesting thoughts about it. She is basically giving kind of, I guess, her own little written form of Grill a Christian, I guess. So she's talking about these questions that she's asked by youth students, by high school students or middle school students.
Yeah.
And she's trying to give short answers to these questions. And we've, as Americans, she's the Bishop of the Church of Norway. We're not like super familiar with the Church of Norway or Kari Veiteberg or what the Church of Norway really means for Norwegians. We have a vague idea. We've talked about it a little bit on the podcast and with people that we know.
Yeah.
But who better to ask than a natural-born Norwegian and our friend who deals with these issues? And so what we want to do is begin a series where we actually go through this book and talk about, some of the questions that are in this book and how she answers them, and maybe give a gentle response and see like, okay, how does she get some things right? And how can some of these things be more informed by maybe a more biblically faithful worldview, perhaps? And so,
So I think sort of the way that I think this originated is we'd seen someone post on Facebook, a Norwegian friend post one of the pages from this book, and I was like, whoa, what is this thing? And so we found out who wrote it and what it is, and we're like, okay, there's a Bishop of Oslo. We don't know what that is. I mean, we know what it is, but we don't know what that means to people.
Not really. We don't really know what that is.
And we had some thoughts about the book and wanted to think about how to review it and respond to it, but we're very quickly faced with our own shortcomings. So we lack the framework, sort of conceptually, just to understand what a national or a state church. And the Church of Norway, I know, isn't the state church anymore, but in America, we've never had a king who was the head of the state and the head of the religion, and that by law, everyone was a part of this religion. And then we didn't have the continued cultural influence. So it's hard for us to understand. We only understand it like we're looking through a tiny keyhole from a long ways away. And so we're so thankful. So Ann Kristin, she's, like Jacob said, she's been joining us on our family breakfast. And we got to meet during Skepsisuka, which is an event that we love and are always so thankful to be involved in. And we're just so, I don't have to say, I'm looking at Jacob, but I'm also looking at Ann Kristin. We're just, we appreciate you so much. And we appreciate your insight and your answers to questions and your perspective. And so we're really hoping, and I don't mean to put too much weight on your shoulders, but hoping that you could help fill us in as outsiders, because we recognize that our view of the impact and nature of the Church of Norway and having a bishop and a Bishop of Oslo. She's one of the bishops, but what does that mean? And what's her authority like? And all these kind of questions. We just don't have any experience of this in our own lives. And so we're hoping that you can help to fill us in and help us understand, but also help keep us on track. Like if we get off base or we're misunderstanding, to help to provide, rails on the side so that we don't drive off the cliff too badly.
Yeah, and thank you for that, Cam, because we basically have everything working against us. We're in a new culture with a new language and all these things, and so we are very liable to misunderstand, and we want to avoid that as much as possible, especially if we're going to be offering feedback on, someone as important. I guess we'll find out how important as the Bishop of Oslo. Yeah, prestigious. There you go. As the Bishop of Oslo, if we're going to be offering critiques for this, we want to make sure that we know what we're talking about, and we have a Norwegian who knows. Who
and so when we don't, just tell us. Be like, no, guys.
Yeah. Cool. So let's get started real quick. Let's sketch out real quick for me and Cameron and for people back at home. What even is the Church of Norway in the first place? What is that institution?
Yeah. Well, I think it's if you ask different Norwegians, they will come up with different answers because for some people it means a lot to them because it's the Church of Norway is like the face of Christianity to many people that aren't Christians here in Norway. So some people will say that it's really important and we have to work together to still have this so we can reach out to people that aren't Christians. And some people will say that it's not that important, like we have to don't think of it as the state church anymore because it isn't. And that all the different churches in Norway should have more same value, if I can use that, same value and the same voice into or out to the non-Christians here in Norway. But it was the state church to 2012 and then Norway decided that we wasn't supposed to have like a main religion anymore.
Right.
So after the church and the state was supposed to be separated, but I don't know so much of the story or history, but what I've heard is that it has some lines to each other, some still. But mainly it is separated from the state now, and it's just probably the biggest trossamfunn. What is that?
Yeah, religious denomination.
There you go.
Religious denomination that we have here in Norway. And I've read on the website that I have that it is like 3.7 million people here in Norway that is a part of the church because when you get baptized in the church, you are a part of the church.
And that's at 3.7 million out of about 5.5 million people
it's
in Norway.
Significant majority, absolutely.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, and so that was what I was going to ask you was like, so that happens, to my understanding, you can help me out here, that happens when they're baptized as a baby, right? Because the church is supposed to be Lutheran, or it's some kind of other denomination, or what's the deal with that?
Yeah. The church is supposed to be Lutheran, and most people baptize their babies. Most of them probably not because they are Christians, but because of tradition. And when you get baptized, you are like in the church. But also when you get baptized as an adult in the church, you get to be medlem.
A member.
A member,
A member of the church. But most of them baptize their babies.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's just because of like tradition, just because that goes back to the Reformation or to maybe when Catholicism was here, or what is it just stretches so far back? That's kind of why people practice it still?
I believe that's why non-Christians practice it. But Christians in the church think that you are supposed to baptize your babies.
Yeah. Right. Of course. And so one thing, I said, the first thing I said was supposed to be Lutheran. I didn't mean anything by that. Just supposed to say like, okay, what denomination?
What's the theological heritage?
Yeah,
something like that. Because the Church of Norway is not Baptist.
Right. Yeah.
Or whatever else, or Catholic, or
So as far as that goes, like it's so complicated because I know that there's priests in the Church of Norway that have different like views on things. There's definitely it doesn't seem very monolithic. Basically, it doesn't seem like there's like one set of like yes, we are all Lutheran, and this is the party line, I guess that we all toe. Is the Church of Norway mostly, well, first of all, do you think that they are Lutheran? Because you are a Lutheran yourself. So do you think that they're Lutheran, or would you include them in that kind of camp?
What an unanswerable question.
Yeah. I feel like they are saying, like on the website, that they have Lutheran values and believes what he says. But I think many, not all of them, or all of the priests or bishops and stuff like that. Not all of them think that, but many are like... sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, many are saying that they believe what Luther says, but I think that they are adding on what he's saying, or believe in some of it and not all of it and stuff like that. But they still call or are being called Lutheran.
Okay.
But I don't think it's all Lutheran.
Yeah. No, that's totally fair. That's exactly what I suspected, but I just wanted to hear what you thought about those kinds of things. And so,
can I ask a question? Yeah. There's something I talked to you about that is maybe not slightly mysterious, maybe slightly puzzling. But I told you I had a friend who I was talking to, and he does not attend Church of Norway and is not really associated with it, but deliberately maintains his membership in Church of Norway.
Yeah.
Why would I don't understand that? Help me understand why somebody might do that, or what that.
Yeah. Okay. This is, or I can't say in his.
Sure.
Like, but I am most of the same.
Okay.
I am a member of the Church of Norway, and yeah. And that's, and I don't attend to that many of the
services. Worship service, sure.
Yeah, services. But like on Christmas, or I actually wasn't last year, but I have been attending at Christmas and at Easter and like the 7th of May. But not usually. And that's most because we have to syn. You use the word instead. Two
views.
Yeah. That's because of we have it is two views in the church.
Sure.
They say they have two views, and the one is liberal,
yeah.
liberal, and the other is conservative. And for or in my case, we stopped attending to church when we got a priest that was liberal.
Okay.
But now that in my hometown we got a priest that is more conservative, like I don't live there anymore, but I know that my mom wants to go more to the services that the church has now that they are on the same page with the priest.
Yeah.
But here will some other people say it's different. Some people will say that no, the church, it is impossible to have two views, because if you accept one view, then you doesn't mean they are wrong in it, or they mean that you can't say it's wrong and accept it is going to be preached to other people.
Yeah,
so some conservatives, they are taking their distance to the church because they believe that it's not hope for the church anymore. But other people think that, okay, it is the largest church here in Norway, and to reach out to other people, it is the face of Christianity for most people. So if we all go away from it, then people would think what they say is Christianity.
Sure.
But if we are staying, and then we can påvirke, we can affect
or change,
we have still a possibility to do it, but I think it would be really hard to do it.
Okay. That's really interesting. So you're saying that this is kind of like the response that some more conservative-minded people are having. So they're deciding, like, okay, some are deciding, okay, we need to distance ourselves from the Church of Norway and just be like, no, we can't go there anymore because they're getting more and more liberal, at least in certain places. And you've got others that are trying to stay and be a positive influence and try and encourage change and do that because, as you said, this is the face of Christianity to most Norwegians, at least to, I would just say at least 5.5 million Norwegians here. So that's really interesting. So what about that? Let's talk just real quick about where the Church of Norway is standing on that. I hate to say political spectrum, but on these things, like on these issues, is the Church of Norway kind of drifting more liberal, or are conservatives affecting change? Are they more conservative? Is it a mix of both? Is it something completely different that me and Cameron just aren't aware of because we're still
able
outsiders?
to conceive of?
Yeah.
So how are they drifting as far as that goes?
Here, again, people will say different, but I would probably say they are getting more liberal. And that's some of my thinking is because what Kari Veiteberg has said and is saying and stuff like that. And also because we have more bishops and they are like now not the head of the church, that's Jesus, but they are like really high, and most of them are liberal.
Yeah.
So when they are like liberal from the spine and out, it's really hard to get them to change. So, but I'm seeing like both sides of it, why people are staying or why people are going, because I would think that if just everybody left, it would have something big to say, like, no, this isn't what we believe in. But I don't think everybody's going to go that is conservative, because we have a personal relationship. Are you saying that when it is with the church and not just... Okay,
Yeah, sure.
A personal relationship with the church, and it means a lot to many people that are conservative. So I don't think that would happen. So then I can see that it is good to be in the church and have a voice there and try to make a change. But I don't see that it is coming soon.
Yeah, well, that's helpful because, I mean, basically how I interpret a lot of that is you're saying that kind of the people at the top, let's say like the bishops in Norway, they tend to drift more kind of liberal on, I don't mean that just like politically, I mean like theologically as well. They kind of drift kind of towards that way. But there seems to be like at least some people in local congregations who believe in, I guess in the spirit of Luther, in reforming, or semper reformanda, right? So always reforming, like, no, we need to try and be a good influence and affect change in the Norwegian church. And that's in local congregations. We don't really see too much of that at the top, is what I'm getting from what you're saying.
I've heard they was going to set a new bishop someplace, I don't remember where right now, but there people are voting on like the members of the church in that area are voting of who they want to have as a bishop. And also the bishops are voting or saying who they want of the three people that are on the top.
Sure.
And the one on the top that the people wanted, he was conservative, and the third people, or the third candidate was very liberal. And like 8 out of 11, or I believe it was 11 or 10 bishops voted for the one on the third place not the first one. But it isn't them that are putting the new bishop, so I don't know how it went, but they said who they wanted.
And that was interesting too. Last year, when as another thing just outside of our experience, what do we see in all of the subway stations and all the advertisements and all of the media about church elections are coming up? It's important that the people in the nation know that church elections are coming up, that it's important to vote. I was like, whoa, that's... I have no opposition to that. It's just something I'm so unused to. I've never seen that before. Yeah.
I mean, unused to, especially because of American history, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's very... The idea of separation of church and state is a very Baptist principle, especially. And so Baptists being some of the first Christians in the United States really ingrained that in our government. And so it's just so foreign to us.
We're used to being guilted into voting for things. Like that's definitely a part of our experience. But it's never been the nation's church leadership. And we don't have any, of course, we never had a state church, but we also don't have any national... or how should I say, we don't have any institution that's big enough that most of us in the nation would be involved in its elections or its decision making or anything like that.
Cool. So let's talk about switch gears to specific bishop, Kari Veiteberg, who's written this book that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
Who is she? Cameron, I know that you've done research into this, so you can hop in and explain as well if you wish. But who is she? I know she's the Bishop of Oslo. What does that mean to Norwegians? How important is it to Norwegians? Is the Bishop of Oslo to Norwegians? Like, what does it mean to be the Bishop of Oslo?
Yeah, good question. I've also done a little bit research or tried, and I found that it was like 11. We call it bispedømmer, but I don't know what you would say in, or like areas there that.
Is that like a bishopric?
A bishopric.
Yeah.
A bishopric. Okay. A bishopric.
Yeah.
And it is one bishop to the 11th. But I also read that it was 12 bishops now, so I don't know if it is 12 or 11. Yeah. But Oslo, I believe, or it is like the place where there are most people, at least. I don't know if it is the biggest, but it is most people. And that Kari Veiteberg, or the Bishop of Oslo, is on the top of the churches or the priests. And so then, because she is like the bishop of the most of the people, she have a really strong voice into the Norwegians, and many people are hearing what she is saying, and so she has a really strong voice into what the church is, like kind of the face of the church, I would say, to many, I don't know if that was what you was thinking when you read up on it, Cameron. But,
so please don't take my reading too seriously. But she's the leader. So the church, of course, is divided into geographic regions, and they each have a bishop. And she's the bishop in Oslo. And because Oslo is dominant in terms of population and influence, then we would expect, and it seems to be, that the Bishop of Oslo is sort of the preeminent bishop among the bishops in the Church of Norway. They are responsible for the greatest number of churches, the greatest number of church members, and there's substantial prestige that comes with being the Bishop of Oslo as compared to the bishop of another place. As far as I know, Kari is not from Oslo.
No, she's from Stord, that is in the west.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That helps to explain somehow how difficult that book is to read.
I listened to her interviews and things like that, and I was like, oh gosh, this dialect is difficult. It's nothing against you, Kari. I say that about everybody in the West.
Yeah.
It was difficult to understand, so that explains a lot.
That was fun.
Hearing you say that.
Family breakfast on Saturday, we had a bunch of Norwegians sitting around the table with several dialects, and I just sat at the end and tried to absorb it all.
Yeah,
that's so hard. It's so hard. As Americans, we don't speak another language anyways. Americans we're not multilingual, but then Norwegian itself is multilingual. So and you guys are fine. You've got 7 languages all happening at once, and you're able to totally understand each other. And
sometimes, if even that. I've had Norwegians tell me they struggle with dialects too. And
I think that's just because they struggle with your dialect.
No. They're talking about people in the north and the west.
Yeah. Because I believe that, like, if you're from Oslo, you probably struggle more with other dialects because you, first of all, you don't hear a lot of them. Yeah. And second of all, you are just writing and reading in bokmål that we are calling it. So I've heard like that Oslo people mostly.
Yeah. Well, so I can just say that's been a great encouragement to me, is even hearing that from Norwegians. Okay. Yeah. So very cool. So I think that's basically going to wrap it up for right now, this first little installment of this new series. And so for any of you who really wanted us to dig into the book and talk about some of its chapters and questions, you'll have to wait till next time. But we're going to be doing that. So this will be, hopefully, God willing, a reoccurring thing. And starting at the next episode of the series, we're going to start going through some of these specific questions and thinking about, this is the kind of, I think as Ann Kristin just said, she's the face of the Norwegian church for many people, for potentially millions and millions of people. So what she has to say is important. Yeah. It is important. And so we want to take a look at it and see and consider it through the lens of our evangelical, biblically based worldview and see, what she says. What are some of the things she says that are helpful?
And if she's the face of Christianity in Norway and we intend to go talk to people about Jesus, I think it's important that we have an idea of what the general perception is and what it seems like, what people think Christians believe about things. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. So I'm looking forward to digging into these questions with you guys. Looking forward to doing it publicly for the whole world to hear potentially on our podcast. And I'm looking forward to you at home hearing us talk about it. So we'll see you again next time. God bless.
Thank you for listening to Word First Radio. Be sure to like, subscribe, and check us out online at wordfirst.us.